My friends, how are y'all doing today? Now it's a pretty sad day all around the world, but more specifically in Akron, Ohio, because yes, if you haven't heard it already, Cyrax's charges have been dropped, the Goblin walks, and you know what? I, just like you guys, do not like seeing Cyrax take any types of W's, so I thought why not throw him in the ring today against the Pickle Man and just see what happens. And as you can already see on screen, it's definitely not looking like a W. Definitely not. But we do have to talk about the win that Cyrax did get, and that was in the courts, because a lot of us had hoped throughout the entire summer that, man, maybe something would actually happen. But the big problem there is the one person people had to rely on to get this done really bungled it in the end. And we'll talk about that all here in a minute, but I think it's just important to jump back and talk about where we started here, because if you guys don't remember, on June 25th, 2023, a guy calling himself a sovereign citizen showed up at Cyrax's house just protesting with a sign saying that Cyrax is a predator, this, that, the third, and Cyrax's own neighbors even got in on this protest. And I remember at the time, people were just shocked because Cyrax ran outside, started swinging a baseball bat, and then got arrested. And the aftermath, the arrest footage is one of the greatest pieces of anything to ever be dropped on the internet. Cyrax's screams will fill people's eardrums for years to come and bring them such joy on their face. And so after Cyrax is put in handcuffs and put in the cop car, the cops ask this guy, the protester, if he wants to press charges. And he just responds, yes, I do. So over the past few months, Cyrax has been going to court back and forth. And honestly, there's been some funny little images of him showing up dressed as best as Cyrax can to try to wow the judges, to show him as not this crazed individual from the internet. But I think after all the things they've probably seen and heard from tons of people informing them and sending them evidence, they know that it's the man under that that checkered button-up shirt is not the man that he's trying to portray here in the courtroom. So a lot of people were under the same belief, myself included, that Cyrax would face no types of jail time from this. The best I think a lot of people hoped was that he would be put on probation, and despite the fact that the guy showed up to Cyrax's house, he went out there, swung a bat, he was absolutely, there was 100% no doubt about it, justifiable cause to arrest him. It's a lot of people just kind of overlooked that and went, yeah, well, he should be there anyway for the stuff he's done over the past few years in trying to contact kids. So in a lot of people's mind, it didn't really matter. All that mattered was Cyrax actually facing some type of consequences for his actions, because he very rarely does, because Sally coddles him, and the police can't really do too much despite being called out there all the time. So here we are now. We're in the end of September. Cyrax had a court hearing just the other day, and they were already planning another hearing, or what was maybe even a trial, on the 10th. And this is where people thought things were really going to ramp up. But before any of that could happen, the dude suing Cyrax, aware of myself, the guy who went there and got hit with a bat from Cyrax, decided to make a YouTube community post. And he's since deleted everything on his channel, so I can't find an archive of this, but the post basically read this. It said that it was too much for him to keep traveling to these court hearings, it was taking too much of a toll on him. He was trying to start a new job, and this was getting in the way of it. But then he went on this rant about him being on mushrooms, and that also not being a help to this, when it's if you're really going to go through with all these court proceedings and be serious about it, maybe the best idea to not be just taking mushrooms every day. But as someone who smokes as much as I do, I don't feel like I'm a really good judge on that one, but nonetheless, I feel like anyone can say, yeah, it's not a good idea to keep going to court if you can't get off the shroomies. But then just a short while later, the guy made a post saying he was going to see this through to the end, no matter what. And honestly, this seemed just like a bunch of backpedaling, because people were pretty upset with him walking away from this in the first place. But then the day came. The day came for the hearing, and immediately in the morning, all I heard was Cyrax's case is dropped. The guy, aware of myself, went on his page and said that the justice system is about to fail us. They're not going to do anything with Cyrax. When at the end of the day, it really looks like what happened here is that Cyrax's lawyer had a picture of that community post that Aware of Myself put up, in which he said that, he didn't want to keep going through with this, and that he only went there to get Cyrax's attention, didn't mean for any of this to happen. And that was enough for the judge to go, yeah, no more of this then. So the guy basically shot himself in the foot for something that was pretty obvious he didn't want to do anyway. Now, I think the biggest the biggest point of contention here, and the biggest thing I want to tell to all of you guys, and I know I've said it before, that despite me giving these warnings, you're all your own people, and I know no one's going to care about this, but do not, and I repeat, do not touch the poo. There's no reason to go to Cyrax's house to get yourself involved in all this shit, especially when it's going to take a toll on you that much. This guy clearly didn't know what he was walking into, and it seems like it's become a game now, you know? People see these Cyrax videos, and they think, oh, I can go mess with him, but it's just a bunch of people who've never looked into this stuff in the past and see how bad it worked out every time someone tried this with Chris Chan, or like other people like that, you know? And this guy was clearly in over his head, and now the goblin will walk free, and I know that lets down tons and tons of people. But at the end of the day, you have to remember this: despite Cyrax not going to jail, I think we're most likely going to see a return of Cyrax on the internet, and a much more bombastic and boastful Cyrax, because now he knows, now in his mind, you know, this whole time Cyrax has been doing the court hearing stuff, he's been telling his lawyer that he wants to get the case changed. It shouldn't be an assault case against him. What we should turn it into is a cyberbullying and harassment charge against the trolls. And now that he has no like legal obstacles in front of him, you watch. The first thing he'll say when he's back online is, you know, your boy's good, I'm back here, y'all ain't keeping me down, and now that that's out of the way, now I'm going to be able to talk to the judge about the real issue, and that's getting all you trolls arrested. And you know, deep down in his heart, he's adamant about that, because from day one, he believed that he should have never been arrested in the first place, and that it should have just been a circumstantial thing, that the cops are like, well, let's look at the fact that you've been trolled all these years, and by God, who is this glory hole fellow? Like, we need to go track him down and find him. That was never going to be the case. But in Cyrax's mind, that was always going to be how this goes. Once he got his way, and once he said his piece, they would let him go and go after these trolls. And somewhere in that empty head, Cyrax is going to come to that conclusion soon, that it's now time for the trolls to be gone after, because he's not going to be gone after no more. But when you think about the person Cyrax is, and the amount of trolling that is done to him on a daily basis from all types of angles, I mean, he thinks things are going to get better, but as you, I, and anyone else watching this video knows, it's definitely not. If anything, this is just like drawing more of people's ire to him, because now they feel like he's really not going to face any consequences for anything. After covering Cyrax for so long, there's one thing that's for absolute certain, and it never changes, and it's that at the end of the day, when all's said and done, Cyrax will make his eventual return to the internet, and shortly after, people will troll him off of it. I'm not telling people to do this, I'm not telling people, you know, because as I said, no one listens to me anyway, but I'm just telling you what happens. It's happened every time, and I'd be more than shocked if it didn't happen again. So with the Cyrax story, we'll have to see where it goes from here. I can imagine, as I said, that just in a few, maybe even a few hours, I don't know when this video is going to be posted, but you watch, Cyrax will be back on the internet in some form or fashion very soon to gloat about this to his heart's content, because this is a huge W for him. There's no doubt about it. In Cyrax's mind, this is a big win, and, you know, it's just, it's weird. It's weird to say that and see Cyrax like this uppity about something, because for the past 3 months, he's been basically off the internet altogether because he's been so afraid of this happening. So the Goblin clearly has a new lease on life here, and we'll see what he's going to do with it. And I think the most likely option is he just tries to gloat to the trolls about it, and we'll see how long that lasts, because people don't like to see Cyrax get the upper hand in any situation. He's one of the most detested people on the internet, bar none. I think at this point that goes without saying. So we'll just have to see where the Chance Wilkins story goes next. But I want you guys to leave your opinions down in the comments below, because, I mean, what do you think happens now? Like, obviously, I think the most likely answer that everyone's going to give is that he just comes back online and starts just like, spouting his mouth off again. It's pretty obvious. And I know this is probably what a lot of you guys didn't expect, because whenever we do Cyrax videos, most of the time they're pushing an hour, because there's so much stuff to cover with the little guy. But with him being off the internet mostly, he hasn't, like, he's there's nothing really to cover here other than the fact that he's out. So when he inevitably does come back, I got y'all. Like, you know I got y'all. You know, we've done plenty of Cyrax videos before, and right now they're not available on the channel. That's due to one of YouTube's new policies, which they're being much more strict on any type of content, calling out predators and all that. So for the time being, we're being safe, but there's a dude running another channel called the SmokeyMcC Cyrax Archive, and if you guys want to go see any of my old videos, it'll be linked in the description below. The dude's archiving all this stuff there, and I can't thank him enough for that, because I've said it before, I don't care whether it's my videos getting the views or a re-upload of my videos getting the views. As long as people know the story of Cyrax and what type of person he is, that's all that should matter at the end of the day, because you got to get the word about people like him out there. So until the next one, y'all, I'm out of here, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Remember, again, I'll reiterate it one more time in case anyone didn't hear it the first time. When it comes to people like Cyrax, like Daniel Larson, like Chris Chan, like even your white Bowsers of the world, just watch from afar. Do not go and get involved yourself, because look at the mess it's created here. So, yeah, that's basically all I got to say for today, and I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, everyone take care.